years of our business this year. March 18 to be precise was when I sold my first market, you know, online, drop shipping and all of that. And I want to gift 40 customers with hairs, actually. Yeah, so if you purchase products worth 50,000 and above, you get hairs. Yeah, you get an extra hair. And that's what I'm doing. So customers have started buying already. I'm just saying it now so that it's not when I'm closing, they will say, we did not hear, now we want to buy. So you can buy early, so you make sure you are a part of the 40 and you get your gift. And that's what we are doing for this month. And also we are celebrating Ramadan, and we have posted all the outfits that our model here.
I was only seeing one.
No, plenty. We did over 12 outfits, yes, and people have been asking for prizes. You people should come and buy now before we increase our price. I'm giving Nima's discount.
It's sold out.
For now.
Sold out.
How you doing, Nima?
Yeah, I'm fine. Ramadan iftar with Nima.
Woo! Launched yesterday.
Wow.
Yes. Launched yesterday.
Yes.
And also I was at the State House to have another iftar with Nima experience, and so that will be showing very soon.
Wow, so amazing.
It was really nice. I got home quite late. And then my son thought this time is okay to just stress mommy out. He was demanding his mommy. But it's okay. I'll make it up. We're going to go on.
Well done. So please, can you tell us what's the iftar about? What are you going to be showing us? So
iftar is the opening, the breaking of the fast meal every day.
Okay.
And so we have an iftar with Nima show showing at the time of iftar when people are preparing to break between 6:30 and 7. And we'll be sharing a lot of things to just help people gain all the rewards of Ramadan, things that you should do, things you should not do. So there's a scene. My producer is one of the best. He made me do a scene where I'll say this, no, and then
do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts, but in silent. And so we'll be doing very many ideas.
Now watch.
How you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine, thank
Published
you.
author. How's our book doing?
It's doing well. It's doing well, actually.
They kicked me out of Amazon, so I'm trying to get back on.
Oh, what
did they
happen? My publisher, I know something don't happen, but hopefully I'm trying to get back on.
Okay.
Anyways, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So yesterday, the most amazing thing happened to me. At 6 p.m., I fell asleep. And I did not wake up till 5 a.m. this morning.
No.
It's been years.
Oh my
I wake up
goodness.
at 3:30, 3 o'clock every day. Ask anyone that knows me.
Oh my
I've been
goodness.
finding it hard to sleep. I don't know what happened yesterday. I did not wake up until 5 a.m. from 6 p.m.
Wow, that's a
Your husband
blessing.
kept calling. I saw so many missed calls from my husband. He was like, when he finally spoke this morning, he was like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I slept.
Oh my
God,
that's
thank
good.
you.
Congratulations.
Honestly. Thank you. Thank you. Can't you hear how calm
Yes,
my
you're just
voice is
calm, like
today?
you're
Zen.
Zen mode.
Please, nobody should bring Nigerian wahala to me today.
you're at a different level.
You're the own, though.
Fantastic. Yeah. So nothing happening in my as usual. You know, just like kids. They did that. They did the challenge of what does your mom say or something like that. Your mom says, "Oh goodness."
Okay.
Mommy says.
Mommy says we did that challenge
Miriam
yesterday. I've not posted it, but I was just like laughing. So the things they say, I say. I was just laughing, but I can't wait to post it. It's really interesting. Let's watch. All right, let's go on a short break now. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. Tinubu to governors, pay wage award to your workers. Varsity workers declare warning strike. Conditional cash grant begins. Probe of 30 trillion naira federal government overdraft from CBN begins. EU faults VAT system. Padding claim, senators put Ningi on the fire. UK bars foreign health workers from bringing dependents. And UBA plans $100 million lift for businesses. Okay, which story?
Major headline. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu spoke yesterday in Minna, the Niger State capital, where he inaugurated Governor Umaru Bago's massive agricultural program. He also laid the foundation for a terminal building at the airport, which was renamed after him. And he said there that payment of wage award to workers by state governments will bring relief to a cross-section of Nigerians. And he was challenging the governors to, take that path in collaboration with the federal government as part of the efforts to alleviate the economic reforms and the pains, that Nigerians are going through. And we know that following the petrol subsidy, the federal government had initiated the payment of 35,000 naira monthly wage award to its workers for 6 months, which had been paid already for 5 months. They said some states have started paying, some have been paying 25,000, others are paying 10,000, but majority of the states are not paying at all, in spite of the large flows they received recently from the federation account. They said usually they used to receive about 650 billion to 850 billion, but recently they got over 1.1 trillion, and because of that they must have changed to pay the wage award to workers, which will help them alleviate the sufferings that everybody's going through at the moment. And so he's appealing that every governor gets on board and starts paying. Then he touched on other issues, which he said talked about the programs that the policies are brought about, such as the student loan, which will be inaugurated on Thursday, and he said the program will commence, which will also help students have a form of relief. He also talked about the social security program for the elderly and vulnerable, which will also commence very soon. And he said they have plans to address the headers and farmers issue, that they are going to be working with different state governments, they are going to be providing land for them, that they understand what it means for, cattle to just get into the farm and eat up crops of, farmers. And this is also putting a dent in our economic situation, but they are going to be working on it to see how they can, alleviate some of these things. And that's a promise that the president, is giving to Nigerians.
Okay.
I have the UK.
That's the story you cuckoo have.
Before. So, according to their Prime Minister on X, it says that from today, that was yesterday, UK care workers entering the UK, migrant care workers entering the UK on health and care worker visas can no longer bring dependents. And he said it's part of our plan to deliver the biggest cuts on migration. So, according to, in December, they had already announced that, they are grateful for the contribution of overseas care workers, and they are clear that their migration is not a long-term answer to their social care needs. And so they are doing this, but they reserve visas with dependents for students on postgraduate courses that are designated to the UK. And also, they have also prevented those overseas students from switching out of student route into work routes after their studies in the UK. So there was a tweet on X I saw where someone said UK is the most unhappy, number one unhappiest place on earth. I think this is true, because now when care workers get there, they will enter serious depression.
It's not only care workers are good there.
No, if you go there, leaving your family and dependents back home, especially when they are younger ones. Because I have a client who are trying to do a process to go there. She has 2 young children. Okay. So imagine say she cannot carry them to go and work.
Okay.
Anyway,
you have a story.
Yes, I do. I have the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, SANU, and non-academic staff, NASU, have declared a 7-day warning strike beginning March 18th for the payment of their members withheld 4-month salaries after the 2022 nationwide strike. So they said that this decision came about and has been approved by their Joint Action Committee after a meeting that they had in Akure at the weekend. The President, Mohammed Ibrahim, that's the President of SANU, had signed a communique issuing at the end of the meeting that the decision to embark on warning strike was taken as last resort They said they'd written several protest letters and other forms of communications with the federal government, and it did not result in the payment of the withheld salary. So that's to show us that they are not just jumping onto a strike. They had tried all the different avenues, and it hasn't yielded much. So they explained that the former president, Buhari, had withheld salaries of university workers who went on strike in 2022, right? And then last October, President Tinubu ordered the payment of 4 out of the 8 with the withheld salaries for 8 months. They said they went ahead and paid ASU, but they have not paid SANU and NASU, and so after much deliberation, they feel that this is the next step that they have to take.
All right, so I have the Senator Ningi's story, controversy over the allegations of budget padding against the presidency and Senate President Godswill Akpabio by Senator Abdul Ningi is still raging in the Senate. If you recall, he had claimed that in the interview that the Northern Senators Forum had uncovered lopsidedness and padding of the 2024 budget to the tune of 3 trillion naira. Has however come back to say that those were his own personal views, that it was not representing the views of the Northern Senate Forum. He was speaking during the interview by the BBC Hausa, again, language issues, because he was speaking in Hausa. By the time it was translated, according to him, the presidency, Bayo Onanuga, had given a press release concerning what was brought to him that he feels was somewhat misinterpreted. His views were somewhat misinterpreted. Misrepresented. Also, the senator from Ondo South, that Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, has called for an arrest and prosecution of Ningi for giving false information. And many of the northern senators have also come to say that they are not part of his views, that those are his own personal views. But again, this is another issue of language.
Yeah.
But actually, from the translation we have, what he said is what he said. And he said he's not afraid of probe. He's not afraid of being investigated for what he said, that he believes in what he has said. So we'll take it from there. Moving on now to the Punch. Parties demand 3.7 trillion naira padding probe. Northern senators disown Ningi. FG laments blackout despite 65% subsidy, warns discos. Pray for Nigeria to overcome challenges, governors tell Muslims. Terrorism UN begins Lagos Abuja airport security audit. Unpaid salaries, SANU, NASU, tackle FG, declare 7-day strike. Commuters groan as one-chance robbers invade Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Tinubu condemns farmer header clashes, unveils Niger Agric airport projects. Okay, which story? Punch?
Yeah, so motorists and passengers plying the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway are lamenting the increase in the operations of one-chance robbers in the Muweiba for Bega area of the road. And some passengers had to speak to Punch Metro at the weekend, and they said that the road was no longer safe for them due to the activities of the one-chance criminals. A teacher, Sarah Oladili, spoke to the correspondent, and she says she no longer goes out once it's 7 p.m. Whatever she's doing outside, she makes sure that she gets home before 7 p.m. because she doesn't want anything to happen to her and her children. And another person, a hawker, who also gave her name as Rebecca, says she only plies the road because she has no other choice, because she has to sell her wares on that road, and there's no other road for her to pass. That just last week, her brother was involved in this. They collected his phone, the cash he had with him before they finally dropped him off. He said in the last month, about 4 persons had been robbed and attacked on that same road. There was one of them who was even stabbed in the hand while he was trying to struggle with them. Another bus driver said that he no longer carries more than 3 male passengers. They now select who they carry because they don't want to be victims of the one-chance people. And he says, I drive Korobe and I don't usually carry more than 3 male passengers at a time. Everybody just trying to be careful. But then the police has said that they are going to increase the roadblocks on the road, put more police there, and see how they can salvage this.
All right, let's go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome to the sacred month of Ramadan, a time of reflection with no growth. We will delve down Sean's significant profound impact it has on millions around the world. Welcome to Iftar with Nima.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. So I have a story that the team of experts from International Civil Aviation Organization, the United Nations. Oh, that's the story. Go ahead, please.
You started.
The United Nations agency that regulates the global aviation industry arrived in Nigeria to carry out security audits of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport yesterday. The audit will cover critical aviation security areas such as in-flight security, passenger and baggage security, acts of unlawful interference, facilitation, legislation, and so many others. So according to the statement by James Mbala, he said that Mr. Festus Keyamo was quoted as expressing the importance of the audit in upholding the highest standard of security in Nigerian aviation industry. He said the audit represents a concerted effort to uphold the highest standard of security across all facets of Nigeria's aviation. This is a good news because many have been worried about the issues of stowaways, late flights, the fact that customers are never compensated for the delayed flights, and even security across the drugs. NDLA is constantly moving people. So these are important audits that we need to move that sector forward.
So in a meeting yesterday, the Minister for Power lamented blackouts despite 60% subsidy paid to discos. He said that what the country is witnessing currently with respect to power supply is not acceptable, and the situation is getting worse. And in the last 2 to 3 weeks, the level of power supply to Nigerians has not been good enough. So the last 2 to 3 months. He said that he was holding a meeting with the directors in the Ministry of Power and the CEOs of agencies in order to address the lingering crisis in the power sector, where he revealed that in the next 3 to 6 months, he would ramp up power generation and supply. That's the part I was waiting for, but he added it, between 6,000 to 6,500 megawatts. And we're looking hopeful to this. He said there will be consequences, warning again to the discos who are rejecting allocated power allocated, electricity allocated to them. He said they will be dealt with severely going forward. We have not seen an example yet. This story has repeatedly been said.
Moving on now to Daily Sun. Akpabio's men fight back, plot against Ningi. Senate begins probe of Buhari's 30 trillion naira ways and means loan. Bandits attack market in Plateau, kills 7. Tinubu to governors, pay wage award to civil servants. Gunmen kill man, abduct wife and daughter in Enugu. FG pushes for death sentence for electricity vandals and thieves. UBA African Guarantee Fund to support SMEs in Africa. Okay, which story?
This story a little too close to home. Gunmen suspected to be bandits in large numbers on Sunday. They invaded a local market in Wasi local government area and they killed no fewer than 7 people. So according to eyewitnesses, they had these bandits arrived on motorcycles, shooting sporadically. And this was a market in Kampan in Zurak. People were just busy. Just imagine a regular Sunday in the market, and then people drive up on motorcycles and just start shooting. Immediately, 7 people, were killed. Many others were injured. They fled without any resistance because there wasn't any security. Nobody was expecting it. It wasn't as if there was any intelligence or any reason for them to believe that this would be happening, and so they got away with it. Anyway, the police says they're investigating it. They will be hot on their heels, and hopefully, something comes out of this. As we know, Plateau State constantly in the news for this sort of sporadic, random shootings and killings.
Also, at the meeting, the Minister for Power also proposed death sentence by hanging for electricity vandals. He said that if you look at it, capital punishment is not too much because they are also gradually killing the nation, killing the economy, and killing the people. And so they're pushing that to the National Assembly, and hopefully when it is passed, maybe that will deter such criminality.
Yeah, so they said a yet-to-be-identified man who was traveling with his family in a private car had been shot dead by kidnappers in Udi local government area of Enugu State. The sources in the area said they attacked the family and killed the unnamed man while his wife and daughter were abducted. Now, the the thing is now, at the time of this report, no official statements have been given from the authorities, and there's no demand for ransom from the kidnappers yet. But the Police Public Relations Officer in Enugu State, Daniel Ndukwe, has confirmed the incident, and they said efforts were ongoing to arrest the gunmen and rescue the victims. They've, sent out a manhunt for the armed men, and hoping that they will be able to rescue the victims very soon. So we'll get more details very soon. Okay,
the Nigerian Tribune, Northern Senators disown Ningi as crack widens. Bandits invade Plateau markets, kill 7. 4 days after abduction of our children, kidnappers yet to make contact, says parents. Court affirms borrower as NURTW president. Service year elongation bill. National Assembly staff members take Akpabio Speaker orders to industrial court. States should pay wage award now, says Tinubu. Senate inaugurates 17-man committee to probe Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira Ways and Means Anchor Borrowers program. Okay, which story?
Okay, let me take the committee that has been inaugurated to investigate the 22.7 trillion Ways and Means. Sorry. Okay, so the Senate President Monday has inaugurated a 17-man ad hoc committee to investigate the Ways and Means and then the Anchors Borrowers program under the immediate past president. The Senate did this following a report by its joint committees on banking, insurance, and other financial institutions, finance, national planning, agriculture, and appropriations. So what they have done is that they would like for government to look into and to resolve and investigate the 22.7 trillion printed by the CBN through Ways and Means overdraft. So first, the Ways and Means provision allows the government to borrow from CBN if it needs short-term or emergency finance to fund delayed government expected cash receipts or fiscal deficits. Last May, the Senate had approved the request by Buhari-led government to restructure the 22.7 trillion loans the Apex banks granted under its Ways and Means provision. The 9th Senate also approved an additional 180.4 billion naira, being the balance of the supplementary budget and interest accrued on the Ways and Means. Anyway, the reason one of the reasons they're investigating it is because, the current Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, had also attributed our present hyperinflation to the reckless printing of money without productivity under the immediate past government. So we're going to see where this money went, what it was used for, and, and then the impact on the economy. So we'll be watching this closely to see how this turns out.
Yeah, so this report says 4 days after the abduction of over 287 school children from Kuriga, Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, some parents are saying that this abduction had left a big scar in their hearts. They said the community shares a border with Birnin Gwari local government area, and it has been in the center of the storm since the kidnapping and banditry started in that area. So a parent identified as Yau Nasiri Kuriga had an interview and said over 10 prominent kidnap cases had happened in that area, and the recent kidnapping of over 200 minors have really left the community devastated. They said they are at a loss, they do not know where to start from. Even now that Ramadan has started, a lot of them have not been able to perform their sahur, which is eating in the morning, and some of them have not even eaten since Friday that this event happened. And they said they've been waiting, the hoodlums have not communicated to them, that normally you are not able to really make calls from the area, you have to climb the hill to do that. They've been holding their phones for over 24 hours waiting for the hoodlums to tell them what to do, and they have not received that. That also many of the children who were part of the incident but likely did not go with them have been struggling to sleep. A lot of them have not been able to sleep, and only one child had finally escaped and come home. And they said this happened with the villagers, not even outsiders. That everyone that was kidnapped were indigenes of the town, and this has been going on for for quite a while now. Our hearts really go out to them, and I would like to see what the government is doing to see how they can rescue these minors.
It is sad indeed. Moving on quickly now to Vanguard. Let's find a story of not taking sub-regional forces working to destabilize Nigeria's presidency. Energy crisis AFG orders NERC to revoke licenses of non-performing discos. Edo Guba stakeholders seek urgent resolution of Obaseki and Shebu feud. Ramadan, Abbas, governors, Obi, others urge unity, prayers for Nigerians. Okay. Any story? Who has the energy crisis?
Yes, I don't have the major. I have the major headline. So they said the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelele, has alleged that some sub-regional forces were actively conspiring against the stability of the country. During, he had an interview in TVC late Sunday, and he said the federal government is responding to the conspiracy of these sub-regional forces, and now he had to, remind us of the latest kidnapping events that happened. He said last Thursday, bandits abducted no fewer than 287 pupils from primary and secondary school at Kuriga community in Chikun local government. He also said they abducted some Tasangaya students at Gidan Bakuso in Gada local government area of Sokoto state. And they said that particular school combines Islamic and Western education, but that the president is working tirelessly to secure all parts of the country. They also have, a nod from the U.S. government that they're going to be supporting. U.S. is going to be providing assistance to see how they can release these children that have been abducted from the schools, Kaduna School and the other school. And a lot of people are also calling on the president to do something about this. There's this a group of experts from financial crimes drawn from Anglophone member states of the Economic of West African States, ECOWAS, and they are saying that they are going to be finding out people who are laundering money for terrorism. That's what they're going to do in, carrying out this fight as well. They said there was a day that some bandits demanded 40 trillion ransom for 16 abducted Kaduna students. And, they are going to find how this money just moves around. Maybe when they follow the money, they'll be able to find these people. Afenifere is also calling on the federal government to do something, secure the nation, find a way to release these children. Every group is just speaking up. Okay.
We have to wrap up. Just one more story.
Just the follow-up of the electricity meeting with the minister yesterday. So he also mandated NERC, that's NEC, to withdraw licenses of non-performing discos, not just for rejecting electricity allocated, but for performance now. And he talked about how year-on-year power generation dropped by 21%, and in March 2024, from 4,000 megawatts, he dropped to 3,475 megawatts, and he declared the many problems, which is one of the electricity asset theft. And so I'm waiting to see NERC take action.
I took that story to sometime last week, so it's still the same
taking
story.
It repeatedly. We had a meeting yesterday and everything again.
Okay, that is all we can take on this segment. We'll come up and move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Gentlemen, now the dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger!
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I don't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Ọmọ fẹlá. Ọmọ Anikulapo Kuti. Wọ́n rò pé kí ni kékeré yìí.
It's by Audison. It's not by Audison.
I am so sorry I'm late. I'm currently stuck in traffic. So sorry.
Hi, we're about to start the show. Woo! Hey, yeah, team are getting ready. We're gonna start very, very soon.
The show starts in 3, 2, and...
We're here again on your screens this beautiful morning doing what we do best.
Payment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regular.
So let me go and look for my jammies. Also,
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one metal.
At this point, I contest my jammies.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's
I can
all
do
we can
Nigeria, but I
take.
choose to
Ejeki,
stay.
close the show, G for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, #1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for #1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back? You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No, sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Thanks for staying with us. So today we're discussing paternity fraud. According to a report that we read online social media, a man was left heartbroken after DNA test results showed he isn't the father of all 3 children he shares with his wife. When will this paternity fraud issue come to an end in our society? Is there any justification for paternity fraud? Can it be prevented? Can it be spotted very much earlier to avoid heartbreaks? It's really, really painful to discuss because now it's stirring up the conversation that should DNA become mandatory after the birth of every child. You know how, sometimes you have to make all these tough decisions in the reality of the situation. What are your thoughts on this issue of paternity fraud? It's becoming more prevalent In our mailboxes, we get stories day in, day out of people complaining, especially because many Nigerians are relocating, moving to new country where they have to verify and ensure that the children they are taking along with them are theirs. So these are tests that are becoming a prerequisite for you to travel. And it's getting more and more glaring that they have been raising children that never belong to them.
Ew.
What can we do to stop, and how do we stop this from happening? You can call us on 081-0764-1679, 09024-163-440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. Ladies, we have discussed this several times before in the past, but the reason why we're bringing it up again because it's like it's not abating. People are still finding out the stories. Women are still taking these kind of decisions. Men are feeling hurt and dejected because they have spent their resources, their emotional investment in this children that don't belong to them. What are your thoughts on this? The story we have is that, let me even refer to the story that we have specifically. So in this story, according to the report, it says DNA results of all 3 children. None of them are E's. So he has a 9-year-old, he has a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. The man is completely broken. This is from Nimrod's page. So Nimrod shared this story. He said his wife's response was that he works too hard, and she drops her phone. She has not been responding to their calls. Ladies, it's International Women's Month.
Yeah.
And as we are celebrating women, we must also talk to ourselves where we are goofing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So for me, this is really goof, right? And this is not, there's some kind of goof you goof that when family members come to plead on your behalf, they would hold 1 or 2 good things that you have done and say, forgive, now it happens, To err is human, to forgive is divine. They will be quoting all of those. But the fact that you did not even mix one for him was just where I went to. These 3. You had 3, and it was not stated that probably he was aware he had an issue, maybe a fertility issue, or you've been trying to get pregnant, he refused to go to the hospital with you, blah, 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 blah. There was nothing to even hold that, this is what I did, though, this was the part I played when we were having this issue. He refused to join me, he refused to do this. I mean, I had to sort there's nothing for you to even explain. The fact that she's not even taking her call means that there is nothing to hold by, to even say, okay, let us apologize on this. Yeah, no remorse. It just happened and she had moved on. I think it's wickedness in the highest order, and we must call ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. I do not agree that you would have to mix children, but even in that mixing, no. That's really sad.
Translate now.
Exactly.
Did you get it? You got it now. To console him, you didn't even dash him 1 out of 3. No, that's wickedness. Now, this issue of, with new realities, laws are made in every society, and that's why laws came in the first place, to help regulate human beings who, if you leave them, will behave in their basic nature, which is like animals, where, when you get into the forest, the dog is everywhere with everybody. There's no, I think it's the lion and the lioness that are more even coordinated, that the lion does not go chasing after every lioness he sees. They behave like humans in that, where you have your own partner and then you guard the territory. But the other animals, I think they just mingle around, and that's the base of our human nature. And laws and rules, regulations are there to help us, for those of us who cannot self-regulate, to help regulate us. I think when you are giving birth going forward, it should be a law that DNA would be, so that from the beginning you start giving the apology you want to give. You start exposing the secrets from the beginning. Now he decides, okay, since you are married to me, I can choose to, like in Igbo culture, as long as you are in your husband's house, any child you bring belongs to the husband. So at that point, it's open, and people can now decide if he chooses to train those kids, but to nurture those kids for a long time and now realize that they are not even your seed. No,
let me come to
it's it's heartbreaking in a deep way. You can't even explain it.
What are your thoughts on this?
So before we even add the cost of a DNA to the cost of childbirth, let's ask why society regulated non-free sex. Why there were rules, no free sex, guards, boundaries placed. They said sex should be within marriage. Women should not be seen. Why they made it a sin and a crime to commit adultery and fornication is because of this kind of crime this is a crime. How do I put it? I wanted to put it. Of stealing the right to a person's paternity from the father. So you give him 3 children, 1 9. He has invested 9 years. And you're just laughing. Then we can also find the real father sitting somewhere saying, I did not give you permission to give my child to someone else. So avoid that confusion is why there are rules. But we came on and said that's not how people do it. And we said freedom of mind, freedom of this, in fact, premarital sex is okay, We excuse everything until that, but we remove it, we gave it flowery names. And we're here now asking to add the cost of childbirth, DNA to the cost of childbirth. Okay. That's the only thing.
All right.
Mariam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, because we have spoken about paternity fraud many times. I think everybody knows exactly how we feel. Yeah. It's so unfair. But it's not a modern reality. It has always been there. The reality, what is modern, is that we now have technology that can show us that this is happening. There have been many stories, when we hear stories of old time, if a man can have a child, the mother-in-law will get her other son to make sure that, So this has always happened. Whether it was fraud or not fraud, whether with your knowledge or not your knowledge, this has always happened. But now we have something called DNA. Meaning that some secrets that would have lived for generations and generations has now come out in the open. And now we have to find ways to protect people. I'm talking of fathers in this regard. Are the fathers willing? Some people, all the times I've spoken about this, I've spoken to a few people. Some people say, I don't want to know. I've raised the child to a certain age. I don't want to know. That's just your business, As far as I'm concerned, these are my children. I don't want to go about digging some truths. But as we know, you're trying to travel, hospital, something will come up and then you find out.
The truth will dig you out.
Yes. So making it compulsory, I think it should just be the prerogative of the father if it's something he would like to know from the very beginning. I'm not talking here about the moral, so let nobody think I'm trying to justify it. Morally, we already know there's no excuse. I don't feel that there's any excuse for it or justification, except if it's something that's been agreed by both parties. But now we have, for me, the question is, are fathers willing, really, do they want to know? Are there many fathers that want to know, or is this something that just hits them? And when you know, okay, now that I know, what is the next step to do? But most people have heard to say, if they're adult children, please don't rock the boat.
Whenever we talk about this topic of paternity fraud, I think of the question, who is an empowered woman? And the reason why that question comes to mind is that when you say women empowered, what exactly do we mean? Because an empowered woman, no matter what situation she is in her life, should be empowered enough to take a decision. If it's either your husband is unable to do the needful in the room, you can say, okay, I married you and you're unable to perform here. I'm done with this. We can't have children. I want to leave. But because sometimes we're not empowered enough to move, we just stay there and try to pretend and find a way to help the situation by getting pregnant outside because your husband cannot perform. That's one. As an empowered woman, if you feel that your husband, for whatever reason, is not interested in, maybe you're the second wife, you already has children, he's not interested in having children, and you just want kids, there are other things, you can make a decision to leave. But many of us are not empowered enough, even in our mind, to leave. So for a woman to have 3 children, now there's some wicked people, there's some wicked women, they just say, I don't care, I don't like this man, I'll get pregnant someone else. But there's some other women who want to leave, but society has not empowered them enough to move. So they would rather help the situation and have children from different people, so that society says, oh, she's still married with this person. So my question, therefore, is, could this be a result of the fact that women are not really empowered? Because if you want to copy the Igbo people, if we are copying them at all, they can say, you know what, you are unable to have children for me, I'm leaving. I don't care how many years we've done.
Even they commit fraud.
Of course, they'd have that fraud. They are in society. I'm just saying that there's enough empowerment for a woman to objectively make a decision. But here, We just kind of
so I think I get what you're saying. So if it happens abroad, because there are options for you, then it's obviously fraud completely. Because if it was about, I want to have a child, or your society provides you options for you to, move on with your life and do. But here, you're saying society doesn't really give us option. So you find yourself in a marriage and they're looking for a baby. They don't care the man will refuse to follow you to hospital. We've heard that now. Yeah. Does not want to know anything. Just make sure you give birth to children for me. And then the woman now takes it upon herself
to go look for a
baby. Secondly, we have this spiritual thing. We've heard it so many times. We've discussed it here. You go to a spiritual man who says his own spiritual whatever
through the instrument.
Yes, we'll bring you this baby. And then you have the baby. You do a DNA test.
Native doctor.
Let's say both of you went to this spiritual father and you now do a DNA test and it shows that the spiritual father is the
native
father.
Doctor.
So there are just many things. I understand that there are many things, but I personally believe that as a woman, for yourself, for your own dignity, it's not something you should do, you should participate in. Because in the end, you're the one that suffers it. The consequences always falls on you. By the time it comes out in the open, the man is just likely to say that I am as surprised as the rest.
How is she suffering is Mariam?
No,
because she has 3 children. 1, 9, 1, 6, 1, 3. And she's happy.
They blame.
Okay, she tells me, okay, I goofed. Okay, I got somebody else. But they are my children.
It's not past goof. Besides, I use goof and I was like, goof.
Language now. That's why I use goof. If I called English,
goof is English. Goof is English. But the point I'm trying to make is that who really loses? Yes, the man loses, but the woman obviously doesn't lose.
This is a committed, hardworking man that she even blamed for overworking. Now, when you talked about the empowered woman, I was just remembering a story that was shared as a child about women from a particular region, 3 of them. So in this setting, they live in houses where they co-share.
Yeah.
And the women will cross from here to here and have sex and cross back like that. And I don't understand. Yes, they were crossing and birthing children. And at each naming, so you just see a woman just leave her room and she lives in this room for 9 months and gives birth and does the naming and comes back here. I don't want to mention this.
Okay, I know.
And comes back here after she has had the child and leave the child here.
Yes.
And they asked her why. She said, because the child is his.
Let him take care of it.
But I'm married to him. So she came here for him to feed her and birth his child and leave the child and come by herself, giving the child to the wrong person. And so I was like, what audacity? They said, no. And I remember this thing as old as time in that community. It was allowed. No.
This one is not surrogacy.
Those people that used to say it. So they allowed women. And I thought it was impossible. But that woman is an empowered woman that can cross and born and carry
come back home.
And come back.
So she went to go and help somebody.
No, she did not help. She had illegal sex. Adultery. While married. So she had
when she came here
and discovered she was
pregnant.
That
one was waiting for her.
Well, that one knows.
Yeah, before.
This one that was sleeping with her, I was expecting her. When she got pregnant, she just moved in. So this one was...
So the 2 men know.
The men were now fighting, wondering. She said, don't worry. When she was 9 months gone, she born here and left him. And come back with the husband.
This Nigeria.
Yes. So when I was hearing that gist, I was so confused. The woman is she get chest. So you go and leave your husband's house. Where me I'm from.
Yeah.
The one that they even used to cane is better. In my own place, you'll be ostracized and shamed. So women do not have the audacity to plant the child on the innocent man. But this community, they have empowered their women. The woman can carry I mistakenly slept with Daddy A. So I'm going to Daddy A's house. I should be there 9 months.
So born this weekend.
And leave the baby for Daddy A. Then come back to Daddy B that, I made a mistake. That was
So it's an acceptable cultural thing.
Okay, we're going to go.
So there's no fraud there.
So that's where I want this conversation to go. How do we graduate from it being a fraud to being an acceptable culture in certain ways?
Men get away with it.
In what circumstances can it become something that is acceptable? That's the next conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Nigeria Independent Broadcast Company has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're still discussing paternity fraud. And the angle we're taking it from is because it's International Women's Month and we're celebrating women and also we're trying to understand women better. And because this paternity fraud has become prevalent, we're trying to learn from each other, according to what Nima was saying earlier, that it's not today. And I think Mariam also alluded to the fact that it's been happening for years. I also know people, family members that I know that they have children from
mixing children.
I mean, there are even family members that will say, this person is not this person's child. That person is not, and I'm wondering what is going on. There's always that conversation. So, but we all pretend as if it's not there and we just move on. But society, modern day social media is bringing these conversations to the fore. So how can it be done so that it doesn't become an immoral act, but an acceptable...
It's an immoral
act.
Yes.
It's an immoral act. Let me take that back. It's an immoral act.
Yes.
But how can it be done such that all the adults involved are aware and it's not a fraud? It's where everybody understands what's going on.
Can I even add, I think, we're talking about making DNA mandatory.
Yes.
So if it's something that's already been agreed by the partners, should you now enforce DNA on them? So that's why I'm saying it may not be mandatory because there are different situations that bring about these things.
So let me pause you first. I want to hear what you... I have a caller. Good morning. Hi, you're from Lagos Island. You're live.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. So I just want to chip into your discussion.
Yes.
In Lagos then, we have mothers that would have had children for their husband, maybe like 2 or 3. They will go to another man to have like 2 or 3 and come back again. To the former husband to have the children again. And it was the norm. The Yoruba will say, things like that. So it has been something that has been happening before. But I believe it's no longer...
Thank you very much.
So saying now, sorry, BC. She said that the other one, meaning that one husband cannot give you a full wardrobe. Then the other one I said, that if you don't have an extramarital affair, you can't have wardrobe.
Things have been happening in the past. We don't just pretend.
Culturally
acceptable.
It was acceptable at the time. If you look at your extended your extended family, there's always this uncle that does not resemble every other uncle. There's always this one that they will be pointing. He's not our blood. He's not our blood. We have it, at the time. And so for me, I like the question you asked about empowerment, right? What I see here is that we like to test the boundaries, but we don't like to receive the consequences. And that's why you go outside, bring belle home. You cannot chest it to explain that this belle is actually not your own. So where do we go from here? Do I leave your house? Do I do this? Do I do that? You keep it because you want to still be enjoying the perks of the covering that you have. You are not willing to chest the consequence of what you have done. So in making all the conversations plain, now we are going to be asking women, you are empowered, Abi, or you chest it. You have done the do. already. You have brought the belle. Explain to him whatever he says from there, you abide, because it's your action that had brought that consequence. Are we ready to go down that path? A lot of people are not. They just want to escape and find the easy way out. And then at the end of the day,
baby is
that will not show face.
No, if the baby daddy is
a rich person,
you
exactly. So you are in the house with somebody who is well-to-do, doing their struggle and everything. You go and meet a carpenter, they give you belle. You don't want the carpenter to own the pikin because you feel he is not, he cannot give you that security that you want. So you hide and you stay with that pregnancy and you deceive somebody else. The only way we are going to make this thing plain and decide whether it's moral or not is whatever we agree. They said the bed on the filed. So if it's an agreement with you and your partner that if any mistake happens, I'm going to tell you the truth, and we can say I love you no matter what comes, we can go from there. Then we'll say between both of you it is moral. It is not a sin between both of you. But once there's deceit inside where you're now hiding the belle and then lying that he's the father of children, that he's really not the biological father, that's where the sin is. And that's why we say in the hospitals DNA should be mandatory. Let the man now say I don't care, like she said, I don't want, it's okay.
So it's not mandatory, so it cannot be mandatory then.
So it can't be mandatory.
So it has to be a choice.
Yes. The man can say I want it or I don't want it. Let me take this call from Ayo. Good morning, Ayo. Don't make it cheap. It's expensive. Ayo, thanks for calling. You're live.
Yes. Okay, I really like the what we're talking about, and I'd like to look at it from this angle. And instead of the word fraud, you see, it becomes fraud when you do not tell the person. For example, you're a woman, you have gone out, you have a child. If it was a man, everybody will know that this is the man's child, and the woman would even be expected to look after the child. It is understandable. It is culturally accepted. But for women, it became a thing of shame as we graduated with some maybe Christian rules and norms and so on and so forth. Before, society was more open. Society was freer. Even if a teenager goes and has a child, your family will take care of the child. If a woman goes outside and marries and has a child, there were people, if you can't bring the child to your husband's house, the child will stay in your parents' house. So we had great respect for children. People were more caring about children. People wanted the child to be stable. In fact, at a point in time in the Yoruba culture, they will say, there is no bastard child. Just because you didn't marry out of wedlock does not mean you are not a child. If you are the firstborn child, you are the firstborn child. So I believe we have to revisit it because it really affects the children. They are the ones that are affected and devastated, not even the wife or the husband.
Thank you, Aya, for taking us there. Because that's the most important aspect.
But that's the
children.
How it affects. Let's not water down the actions of the parents because of the children.
No, I'm just saying.
So, Kosomwali, that's true. The meaning is that there are no bastard children because somebody will acknowledge that child. So if a man, for instance, gets a girl pregnant and says, I don't want to have this child, or I don't want this child to, the father of the girl will say, rather than leave my grandchild outside, I will acknowledge. And you will take the name of the father of the child. That's African culture. That's even far from Islam. Which is why Islam has strict rules about these kind of things. It is strict. It should not be done. The proceeds of the lawyers, the heirs of a person is so important, bloodline, name, everything, that they don't joke with it. So in Africa, culturally, I've seen neighbors who will say, no, rather than my child stay in the cold, unnamed, unowned, I will name the child to give dignity back to the child. But it doesn't make the actions of the mother or father better, right or wrong. It is immoral, it is wrong in every way we look at it. And so the conversation we're having here is that paternity fraud, because when a man looks out and looks for his child, when a woman deliberately plants that child somewhere else, that sin itself is too big a fraud. It's too big a fraud. We can't even just let's not bring the children into the question here. It's the actions of everybody and the consequence of it on those people that we're discussing now.
Well said. Let me take this call. Good morning, you're live.
Morning, Morayo.
Kemi,
my name is Kemi. Yes, I'm calling from Ikorodu.
Yes.
I want us to look at this from another angle. I want to suggest that any DNA that should be done from the hospital immediately the woman gives birth. I had an experience in 2003. I had a son. I knew my baby was a boy from the scan I had. But that same night I had him, a woman also had a girl. the same time, and we bear the same name. The good thing was that our children didn't weigh the same whatever they weighed them during birth. Then the next morning, I had my own true CS. She too had true CS. They brought her baby to me because they were bearing the same name on their tag. I saw the baby. I knew this wasn't my baby because my baby wasn't chubby from the scan I saw. But the nurses and the matrons that morning, this thing I'm telling you happened in a general hospital. I will not mention the name. They kept on saying, "Is your baby? Shebo Moeni, is your baby." I said, "This is not my baby. My baby is a boy." They kept on saying, "No, this is a girl, a chubby girl. You should be happy." They took my boy to the woman in question. I don't know if they wanted a boy in their family. Because immediately she started trying to breastfeed the baby. But the saving grace was that my pastor was traveling out of Lagos, so he was on his way to see me in the hospital before leaving. My husband wasn't there. So when my pastor came, he met me crying on the bed. And he asked me what happened. I told him, "This baby they gave to me is not mine." My pastor said, "What is going on?" So he went about, he scattered the whole place, asking, "I want to see my child. I want to see my..." That was how everybody started running around. And they went, "Oh, there's another baby Gabriel somewhere." So they brought my son to me. Now you can imagine if I had done Ojukokoro and gone home with that chubby girl. Today they would say she had a child that is not her husband's own. So I want to suggest that whatever DNA that will be done should be done from the hospital as soon as the woman is giving birth. Has given birth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah. Baby swapping. This was
baby swapping babies.
You see these midwives, they be swapping babies. This story for a fee sadly happened to my mom.
Hi.
So we had only one son, and when she had her last girl, she said, at a very general hospital, me too will not mention, in this Lagos, and she came. Somebody else had a baby boy near her. She had a baby girl, but we come very big and puffy from my own, and she was looking at the boy, very lanky boy. Said, "This baby cannot be my own. No. If you see the father of my children, you will not do DNA for my children." And the nurses were arguing, and my father was on night duties. So when he came that morning, the moment they saw him, they just gently swapped the baby's back. Hey. Madam, when you wanted a boy, she said, "I do, but I cannot go home with somebody boy that is not his own." And the day will not break that this baby is not my baby. And,
that.
And my sister is so perfectly my father, same genotype, same blood group, same face, same everything. That you couldn't have swapped them.
They're helping.
This is a crime for time. And they were justifying that, "Madam, how many do you have? What do you have? Don't you want this one? You will have this one now." She said, "I desperately want a boy."
One of the reasons we want the DNA now going forward, aside from paternity fraud, these sort of things can happen, right? So that you are clear from the beginning that what I came with into the hospital is what I'm going back with. It's not just about, okay, you went outside or you did not go outside. Let's even be sure that what we brought into the hospital is what we are going away with first. Then there was, the last time we had this conversation, I also brought about, there's this thing that is not common, but it happens, where it's called chimeria, where you can inherit your ancestors' genes, which is not the same with both parents, and then they will accuse the woman of going outside. Meanwhile, if they trace it, it could be the father's gene that the child has. So DNA just helps to remove and tick all of those boxes. Now we are left with the
in this kind of case, 3 children. 9, 6, and this one.
So I was going to say that paternity fraud is very different from switching of babies.
Yes,
and for me, this is a whole different conversation already. I cannot even imagine that educated nurses are arguing with somebody who is with somebody and saying, "This is your child, this is your child," and trying to force another child on you. For me, I don't even, if the fact that it has happened, I think we should go and investigate these hospitals. Immediately. That is huge. That's a big scandal. I cannot even imagine that. But for the paternity fraud, this is one person's deceit against another. There's likelihood of finding out who the father is eventually, and the child still belongs to the mother. So with paternity fraud, I think what I hear a lot of people saying now is that they are being deceived by their partners into accepting children that are not theirs. This particular story that we took about 3 children, she says it's because he's busy. we agree there's no justification for it.
that.
So what did she want him to do? Is it that he had never been with her in the time she was having the babies, or he did and nothing came out of it? I know some people that, especially that have difficulties with fertility, they have to look at they have to be more. They have to look at the period where they can have babies, So that's when they'll ask, yes, there are periods like that. They will have the partner, come in specifically during that period so that they can make the babies. But if you're so busy and you don't pay attention during that time, is that what happened? And so they could not have babies, so she went with someone else. But still, it's not justification. What she could have done is, I need children, I want to have children, and I can see that you do not have the same want as I do, and this is so important to me. I don't think this can continue. But to say that because someone was too busy.
Let me take this call. Chief, thanks for calling, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
Yeah, actually, this thing we're discussing this morning do happen these days about our own mothers. And because of the exposure now, because of the social media, the new communication, the communication has been stayed. But those days, it's not a taboo and it's not a problem. Somebody can have a child and return back to the first husband. It's not a problem. But the problem we have now, a new generation, because of the reflection. But what's wrong about it is the marriage and flirting. If you're married and you have an issue somewhere, but if your husband is not fertility, there is a way we do it in a little land. You can marry, if you don't have fertility, if you cannot have an issue too, you can bring another woman for your husband to marry into the family. Okay?
Chief, also, it was difficult to hear you, but I hope I'll
you finish.
Because he's trying to explain some
solutions.
questions.
Yes.
I would have loved to. Maybe we can call him back so that it's clearer.
So I wanted him to land where the infertility is on the man's side. He didn't land it. That you can, but he said we are clear as to when the infertility is on the woman.
You get
that you bring another woman to your husband, and the children she has is clear. Surrogacy.
It has always been like that.
Traditional surrogacy. Whatever she born, if you like, let her born 30. It's your own. But he didn't clearly state if the infertility is the man's own and how they believe.
My mom told me a story. My mom told me a story about a woman who married a wealthy man, and because obviously she was from a very poor home, and she was hoping that he would obviously emancipate her entire family. Anyway, so she married him. The first child is not his. He never knew, for whatever reason, the man was the only person that did not see that this children does not belong to him. Every other person
saw it.
It was obvious. And this child.
No, you will see.
The first child definitely. The second child was his because they could tell.
Okay.
The third child wasn't his, and the fourth child wasn't his.
Oh wow!
Only one child. Now, so when we were just talking just about it, she was saying that they will suffer the consequence. The mother will suffer that they can't alert the man because the man never knew till he died.
Oh wow!
So the point is that what is the consequence of the action? Because I don't know the family, and I wish I knew to even know what happened, what became of the woman or even the children after this happened. But the truth is that are there spiritual or universal consequences to this kind of action? Because sometimes you just look at it as like, okay, they are human beings, they are living their lives. Okay, maybe the circumstances at which they were born was faulty, but doesn't mean that they cannot live normal, regular lives. So that means, is there some kind of a spiritual consequence to these actions?
God must love this woman. That the man never found out till
the man never found out till
it's
possible the man knew or pretended.
Yes.
Pretended not to.
That did not have parents like some this popular artist father that we asking the wife for DNA.
For DNA.
Because the drama of this is just unending for some women. But God must love her that, that's wealth in itself. But God has covered and protected her. Her secret and her is between her and God.
Or the man is aware. And it's a secret between them. And it's none of your business, the outsiders, what you think you're seeing or not seeing. We already know what's happening, and we're going to pretend to the world we don't know. There was a particular story also that someone had told me that this, couple, but every time all her children always looked a bit Shua Arab. And they had a Shua Arab driver. It says it was obvious that the children belonged like they were mixed. But it had never come up. It has never been a problem. You know, some people have even tried to, from sideways, to say something, and they have gotten a tongue lashing from the husband. So sometimes you think you're outside there judging. You don't know what people are doing in their marriages. The agreements that they have decided that they are going to keep. Their secrets that they do. We need to be careful. So that's one. That's why this talk of DNA, whether it should be mandatory or not, you will find out that there are some men that will insist that they don't want it. Because, as you said, traditionally, how have men dealt with infertility when it's on their own side? You know, there's this thing about men not wanting it to be a big story out there. As long as my wife is pregnant, she's giving birth now. Come and ask me in my room whether I'm the one that's, you know.
But there's something I wanted to say.
One child, if you can make it,
wait,
one.
There's something I don't know how to say. Is it Kadara or something? But destiny.
Karma.
Okay, so the karma, because there's a point of the fact that if the man knows and in his heart of hearts has judged and cursed the woman, I will be with you in the same house because I don't want societal judgment. But in my heart of hearts, and God and curses the wife. And even the children, in his mind, he never says it out, and then he dies. So is it possible that the curse would be effective on the wife, on the children, because he knows what happened, he has chosen not to fight it and left the fight to God. And God will be the one to fight for him because he knows that I have raised these children. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, we can't speak for God.
I'm just saying that.
No, I understand.
How the society can look at it.
God, but there are principles.
Principles of life, yes. And there's also customs. So where I'm from, certain families will say, if you bring a bastard to this house, that's what they usually say, pardon my English, to this house, cursing the women. In fact, when they are doing burials, they pray for you like cursing. No? It's you that know whether you want to say amen. I'm telling you, where I'm from, what we see, it will tell you to just do better. They will call you, you will kneel down, the matriarch of the house will be looking at you, sometimes it's the patriarch. Because your work takes you overseas a lot of times, can you keep body? And you'll be like, hey, so we want to pray. Then they will start praying. If you bring this and this, you at some point, amen will not come again. You will, because yes, and they enshrine it as their family principles.
Yes, so family.
The women
culture.
know better not to try. You don't even want to test it because it takes generation to find out. You don't want to sit down in your old age and be thinking, that Baba's curse is fooling me. You don't want that. So there are families. I know some that they will tell us. They used to tell us from my own mother's side that if you try to have premarital sex, you will be childless.
Yeah.
And my mother used to emphasize it till we later found out that it didn't work. But she used to say it happened. Or you'll be in an unhappy marriage. You were to remain chaste till you approach a man, till a man asks for your hand. So families like that, I want to believe that they have different rules and principles that they apply in
I
their
want
homes.
to know which curses go to the men who go outside and bring children.
There are curses now. The women too are cursed. You go outside, women go naked and go. I remember that somebody that went naked. You want to go outside.
Let me ask you. What happened to the children?
You know they see them. Not me the children.
I don't know.
You know they see them.
What will happen?
You know they see them.
What will happen?
So women also curse. Women. That's why in some families where they have sense. When a woman is that hot, they will be guarding her tongue. Some will even shame her from talking. And so you see women will just sit down, and some that say, Kuku talk now, let's know what's inside your mind. Because when you go into the corners of your corner, you make you and God, you now go to God the way God made you.
We have to wrap up. Let me pause you for a second. I have a call. I'll come to you. Good morning, Michael, I believe.
Yes, Michael.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Ms. Morales. Yes, I just want to probably take a little different from what has been discussed. I want to say, yes, the direction of your topic is that how do we legalize this, or how do we make it acceptable? I'm just looking at the heading, man devastated. There is no how a man is not going to be devastated when he finds himself in this kind of situation. So what we're saying is, see, all that have been said are correct. Women should be able to check the consequences of their actions. But for us to say, okay, how do we now make it to, okay, be accepted, is for the woman to be bold enough after going outside, for whatever reason. Because if the man had known that they had an agreement just like that, other situations like that, if they had an agreement and all of that, the man wouldn't have even gone ahead. to go and do the test in the first place. So the issue here is just that we must call a spade a spade. We must call a spade a spade, and then let's just see that we say these things the way they are, and then we talk about it the way they are. Otherwise, we will just be legalizing everything that seems to be wrong, and then yes, people can do. Men can cheat, women can as well cheat. And when a man impregnates a woman outside, that is not how he can hide it. Even if he hide it, the woman will still know, but that will be the consequences.
Yeah.
So if
thank you very much, Michael. We have to wrap up on this, but let me let you.
Yes. So what I just see is there's a reason why God does not judge the way we judge, right? Because we see the actions. God sees the intention. And I really do not think, I may be wrong, except for witches and wizards, I really do not think somebody sets out to just be wicked to the spouse from a place of intention. Sometimes it comes from the desperation of what you need. Sometimes it comes from you trying to find your own happiness. Just try to make things work. And that's why God cannot put a blanket judgment over how we would see it, and this is wicked and all of that, and then we judge. It doesn't work that way. A lot of people have been cursed, nothing is happening. A lot of people have cursed people, nothing is happening. You cannot curse somebody that has destiny. That's why God said, let me be the judge. I am the judge. Judgment is mine, because I will see all the angles and I will decide what judgment is right for you. All we can do is let the wickedness not come to our dwelling place. Or even if it finally comes, is there any way we can forgive and move on? Because we really do not know in the scheme of things. A lot of things happen even in the scriptures where it seemed like this is how can this be? And then the genealogy of Jesus Christ, that is where all those people came from. And you're wondering, how does this God judge? Because it's the intention that's most important. I'm not saying it's good to do things you know that are morally wrong. No, it's not. But we cannot sit in a place of God and say this is how the judgment should come. We don't know that.
I was going to say as well that God sees our intentions, but thank God for the law. The law does not know about your intention. If you are caught in the fraud, it will deal with you, accordingly. I wanted to give an example of the American actress Kerry Washington. She had just recently announced that she found out. So there's this thing that they do now where they try and find out your ancestry. Americans like to do that, so that they find out, I'm half Nigerian, half Somalian. So she got her parents, she got this person to come and do it for her parents. And she said they were so reluctant. They would be pushing the man to come next. She was wondering until they opened up to someone who now said, I think you need to listen to your parents. So apparently, the father couldn't. He had fertility issues. So the mother at the time had to use a donor to father her. And so that was why that thing was not, but it never, ever came up until she thought, let's do this ancestry thing.
Wow.
And so sometimes these things are already agreed upon and managed by families, but in cases where it is not, it's fraud, and then you must be ready to bear the consequences.
In cases where it's fraud, what kind of consequences should be alluded to women like that who actually intentionally, for different reasons, as you said earlier, that no one intentionally wants to, but there are some
what would the
people.
law do?
That's what I said, except witches and wizards.
Well, see,
but there are few.
So the question is, can the law, can the law, I don't want to use the word sanction, it's too light.
It has nothing to do with the law, it has something to do
we're
with
asking, what should
involved.
Should the law
decide to take it to the law?
So I'm sure that there's a civil provision for this. Because a man who has relied on your representation that
you not take a woman to jail, Nima, because of what she did.
Maybe not jail.
Yes, if our legislators can find the perfect way, I'm thinking it already. Yes, if our legislators can find the perfect way to criminalize it,
you know what I'm thinking? Pay child support.
Yes, to pay alimony for life.
Yes, to the man.
Go and work.
Now that I found out that all this
civilly, the man should be able to go to court and say, I spent X and X.
Yes.
If he wants on this number of years, and I would have been a father of my own child because hospitals have proven that I am not infertile. And this number of years, X number of years, you made sure I did not have a child, you have 3 in this marriage, and get the costs and damages against that woman.
If it's that,
because that should be able to decide.
Some men will not want to go that for the sake
it's good to know that they have options. It's when women,
it's always the
it's when the law provides options for both men and women. In cases like this, people can take better decisions. Because there's lack of options.
You know, one person
help,
and then one person is a giver, one person is a carrier. So imagine a woman would know that a child is not her own. So if
Sometimes the woman will not know.
No, now if you bring the
How many
child,
people did you do?
If you bring the child to my house and I know that I did not give birth, I did not carry 9 months journey, I will simply say I'm not in the right emotional frame of mind to be mother to that child. And you can take her.
Let me take this call. Okay. I'll come to you, Daniel. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Wait, which woman will say that one?
Yeah.
We say
good morning. Go ahead. Please.
Go back.
Let's take a comment social media.
Good morning, Morayo.
Yeah. Morning, Daniel. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, how are you? This is Daniel from Alagbole.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick contribution, very quick. I have a kind of counsel that anybody in that situation, you know that you have cheated on your husband, you are having some children that are not your husband, you should feel, you should muster courage to let your husband know about it. Because if he dies without knowing, that is a sin against God. And I know not just in Christianity, every other religion to know that if you have defrauded your husband, you have cheated on your husband, and the man is not in the know till the man dies, that is a sin. So they should muster courage either to tell the pastor or to tell a counselor that this has happened, and they should get the husband to know about it.
Yeah.
It is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Yeah. You were saying that what should it, like government do, or legally, what should be the repercussions for this? And I'm saying, Oyibo people, they have like repercussions for when you marry a second bigamy.
Yeah.
We don't have that, and they have made it like
bigamy now. We have bigamy now.
No, not really. If you have traditional, if you marry the person traditionally, you can have 15 other wives and get away with it. There's a loophole. Yes, good. So I'm just saying that you're right. Legally, we should look at it so that the people understand that there's a legal consequence for
this,
for deceiving someone at that level, really. But like Nigerian ways, now we always find a way around
family
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
TMS says, how can you justify paternity fraud by exploring the angle of normalizing it? Why would you justify and casualize what is wrong, modern or not? It's an immoral act and it should never be acceptable. Stop this vague women empowerment that promotes civil will. And Moses Lawal says, many secrets are buried with women in their grave. Fertility tests, compatibility should be mandatory. Fertility tests and compatibility tests should be mandatory to weddings and DNA tests post-birth. On a lighter note, could it be a reason why Lagos DNA and forensic centers was burnt?
Junel Lineage says paternity fraud should have some legal consequences. When doing DNA tests, both parents should be involved. Some children get swapped. Sometimes the woman might not know if it's the case of multiple nightstands. But paternity fraud should be punishable by law.
Uchechi says some married peeps with fertility issues arrange their friends for their wives and keep such secrets and take them to the grave. Crazy things are happening.
We'll be wrapping up. Yeah, go ahead.
Similar happened to a young couple in Lekki 2 years ago. The guy found out the wife was going out with her boss. He did a DNA for his 2 children. Results came out that the second child wasn't his own.
Yeah.
The guy killed his wife and he drank.
Me here
killed himself.
Says corruption is everywhere. I don't comprehend why nurses plan to give someone else's child to another person because of money. Me, you and I, like when I heard it today, my whole body, I'm like, how is it a thing? How is it normal? So you think you can persuade someone to take someone else's child?
And when one person is the only one on duty and has sudden emergencies, they can make that mistake. We can excuse when it is a mistake. But when you're being confronted, don't force it. That take cup is your cup. If I say the child doesn't look like my own, you have to do the due diligence.
Immediately. DNA.
They know that can be overwhelmed. But when
I told you the story.
Want somebody to join you in the labor room, they will say no.
Yeah, I told you about it. I told you about my brother's
general hospitals. They don't allow family members.
Family members, yeah.
I told you about a story. Just last year, my brother was having to do with a friend who found out in South Africa that his 2 daughters, who are now almost 30 or over 30,
were not his.
And he raised them. He left their mother in the US. He came with the kids, and it was only by chance he found out that his 2 girls. So he was worried about how do I
communicate that
tell that to the girls. So these, eventually, obviously, the girls were told, and then they have to go meet their mother and their real father, who their mother is married to in the US. He's just, so the man is now left because that man who used to be his friend now has his daughters and they have children in the US. So he feels, but now he's now left to those girls.
So he's the one that got 0.
He got 0.
He got 0.
Just to his daughter.
She used him, she had the children, she now married the man that they cheated with, and now had extra children. She's now living happily ever after.
He raised her children. Come on now.
Yes.
So that's why you're asking.
So what
time
is
invested, emotions invested, waiting now.
Although I'm sure, and I don't know the side story now because I didn't follow up. But in case the girls do still come back to their father in South Africa, you raised us, your father.
Not make them.
But would this still hit that? Okay, these are my
not
kids.
At all. He has been cheated out of it. He has been cheated out of life. He spent how many years of his life raising people that were not his? And they are in the Obodo Yibo. If he's here, they will invoke, as long as we are together, I married you. These children are mine, and nobody can contest it. That's a culture that they have here. Then the children will now.
The children are also in their 30s, so I'm sure they too.
No, the culture still holds, so. It still holds.
Okay, we have to wrap up. I think that's all we can take. But again, paternity fraud is fraud, no matter how you want to paint it.
Exactly.
It's fraud. It's wrong on both sides. And I think it's important for us to find real legal consequences for these actions, because if we don't do that, it will continue to happen. And it's not new. We've always had it. It's just that now social media has brought it more to the fore. But going forward, I think it's important for us to make open this conversation so more people can come out to own up to their mistakes or things that they've done intentionally. That's all we can take on this segment. We'll come back on to our segment on kidney. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Healthy kidneys.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one better.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show, Father.
Ladies and gentlemen, at number 1, Unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Ramadan, and this one is called Charm. Check it out.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back? You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
She says she does show dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying.
So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
The empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No. Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the person that used to sus? What is his name?
That woman.
Bam! Bam! Yeah,
Today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's catch up now.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay good. TVC Entertainment with Pure Entertainment.
Thanks for staying with us. March 14th is World Kidney Day, and it is a day set aside to raise awareness of the importance of our kidneys. While kidney disease can affect people of all ages and races, women tend to face more specific challenges linked to kidney disease. The risk of developing chronic kidney disease, CKD, is at least at a high in women as it is men, and maybe even higher. Now, joining us on the show is a consultant physician, nephrologist, kidney specialist, and head of dialysis at the Federal Medical Center, Ibutimeta, Dr. Namadu Danladi. Welcome to the show. You're head of this kidney center? Oh my goodness. I would think you just left secondary school. I'm just joking. I'm very young and, you know, somebody in that level.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm really, really excited to be here. Mariah, Miriam, Nima, Obi, I'm a fan. I'm so happy to be here. Happy International Women's Day in arrears, and happy Mother's Day in arrears as well.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
So, would you like me to call you Dr. Dan Ladi?
No, Dan is fine.
Dan is fine. So, Dr. Dan, every year we discuss kidney, but sometimes forget to remind ourselves how it affects women, especially now that we're talking about International Women's Month. Could you give us an idea what kidney disease looks like and why is it more prevalent these days in women?
Okay, I think it's just more awareness. I think people are more enlightened and they know a little more.
Yeah.
Kidney disease usually, if I could start by just saying what the kidney does. So what the kidney does is like it removes waste from the body. And so when your kidneys are not working, this waste tends to accumulate in the body and tends to cause a few issues. So usually some people start to vomit, some people become really sick. And that waste, the kidney takes it out as urine. So if you're not producing urine, you can understand that your legs will start to swell, your face will start to swell. Sometimes it accumulates in the chest, difficulty breathing. The other thing the kidney does, I say the kidney is like a Nigerian. The kidney has a side hustle apart from moving waste. The kidney helps the body to make blood. So if you don't have, your kidneys are not working well, the person's blood level starts to fall down. The kidney also helps with bones. Finally, the kidney controls blood pressure. So people with kidney disease, their blood pressure tends to go up. For women, it's particularly important, especially with pregnancy, because once women are getting pregnant, they're close to getting pregnant, it's important to know your kidney status. If you get pregnant and you have severe kidney damage, the chance of you having premature delivery is about 90%.
Whoa.
Chance of preeclampsia, which is hypertension and kidney damage, is about 50%. Chance of you getting permanent kidney damage or worsening of your kidney damage is also about 50%. So my prof in school would tell me, you have two kidneys. Two kidneys are meant for women because it has a lot of, pregnancy has a profound effect on the kidneys. So it's important that everybody, women especially, know about their kidneys and especially around pregnancy because it puts a lot of strain on the kidneys.
Is there some... Okay, go ahead.
You just mentioned kidney status. Is there a particular test to know? You know, the way we do other tests to know of your kidney status?
Okay, so like I said, okay, so if you visit a general doctor, usually this can be done. We said the kidney removes waste. So the simple test we do is we just check your waste level. So if we check, there's this particular waste we call creatinine. Forget the technicality, but there's a waste level we check. So if your kidney is not working, it's a blood test. It's a blood test. So they just take your blood, and if the level in your blood is high, it means your kidney is not removing it. Whoa. So it should be in a particular range, and if it's low, it means your kidneys are overworking. That's also a problem.
Wow.
So it's supposed to be in a specific range. And the other thing is, you remember what the kidney filters is blood. So we also need to check your urine. I tell my patients, the way to know your kidney function at home is just to look at your urine. So if you wake up and you are peeing and there's a lot of foam, or your urine there's blood in your urine, or you're having difficulty urine, so just pay attention to your urine is another way to see. And then usually when you go to a hospital, we'll check your urine as well. And the final test we do is we take a picture of the kidney to see how they look. So we check your blood, check your urine, and we take a picture of the kidney.
With a scan?
Yes, it's called an ultrasound scan. So we expect the kidney to look a certain way, and it should be a certain size. And usually we want to be sure that there is no blockage in the path which urine uses to come out. And that's also something that tends to happen in men, but we're not talking about men now.
For women, now, how do you maintain your kidney health? So I know that there are people who are born with some certain, probably is hereditary, where they have some kidney issues, or they have high blood pressure, you know, mommy had it, daddy had it, and every child just picks up from there. How do you now maintain kidney health, especially if you come from such a family?
Yes, I think that's an excellent question. That's debated of me. Hypertension is the most common cause of kidney disease in Nigeria. A lot of work has been done around that. So if you know you have this risk, you need to control your blood pressure. So most of the patients I see in the hospital who are very sick, their kidneys are damaged, they just didn't control your blood pressure. The simple things to do if you know you come from that background is manage your salt intake, and also you need to regulate how much protein you take, especially because when a lot of the waste that the kidney generates is from protein. So usually you want to be careful with proteins, and then you want to reduce your salt intake. So if you know you have a background of hypertension, you have a risk of hypertension, manage your salt intake. Finally, this goes for everyone. Just try to drink a lot of water. Whether it's hot, drink water. Not usually any liquid we do, but preferably water. You don't want the complications that come in, so drink a lot of water.
Make sure you go to the bathroom often.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Dan, so usually when I would hear, we would hear that, a lot of women have kidney issues, and it's usually referred to because of our skin care routines and sort of things that we use. Is there any truth to that? Is it directly linked to some of the skincare products that we use?
Yes, especially those ones that are not approved. Some of those skincare products tend to have heavy metals and things that are toxic to the kidneys. And one of the things I used to illustrate is that the allocation, like I'm sure we've been talking a lot about federal allocation, the allocation of blood to the kidney is 20%. So you can understand that anything that ends up in your body would at some point end up in the kidney. So yes, with a lot of the bleaching creams, a lot of these complex creams that do all kinds of skin. So I would usually recommend, it should be NAFDAC approved, or at least it should be a Dermatology Association approved, because those things have toxins that may affect the kidneys as well. So if you're going to use the skincare products, just read the label. If doesn't have the necessary approvals, just be careful about it.
You talked about proteins earlier, and I was worried because part of my own diet is just, I eat not too much carbs, but I have more proteins and vegetables. So people in those it helps in weight loss, also reduce your carbs. How does that affect, will that affect my kidney in future, or I should be careful? Okay, so for you, if you don't have any background illness, so your kidneys are just fine, I don't think it should be too much of a problem. So yes, you can take your proteins, but usually, a large protein load is not usually recommended for your kidney. Protein. Yeah, so if you're taking, in Nigeria generally, we don't even eat enough protein. So I'm pretty sure you're not eating, I'm sure you're not having a full steak every other day. So you are probably not taking a lot of protein. But it's people who are eating one whole chicken and taking a lot of suya.
I am. That's the diet now. So initially we're not like that, but because of the diet, yes, we had to move more to protein.
Can I say, since we're talking about this diet, so a lot of people, this keto diet actually, and we know that many doctors have an issue with that because they believe that you're taking too much protein. But what I understand about keto diet is that you take moderate amounts of protein, especially because it really came from America, where they would eat like a whole steak. Or for a Nigerian, you're more likely to be eating moderate protein than an American who are used to eating. So just to put that out there.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So I guess our diet is deprived. So I think...
Is the poverty thing is costlier to buy chicken?
No. We just eat carbs more in this part of the world.
So let's talk about the things we take in, because many of us live in communities where we inhale quite a lot of fumes, toxins and all that. How do these things affect our kidneys, or does it even affect it at all? Because there was a time a commissioner came on our show was talking about certain communities are very toxic in the kind of waste companies let out in those areas, and they're inhaling these things. So how does what we inhale affect our kidney?
So it's, I think it comes back to the allocations of the kidney. So literally, if you notice, most of the illnesses that affect kidneys, the top two will be hypertension and diabetes. So things that affect your general well-being will usually end up affecting your kidneys. So for inhalants, it's especially fumes and heavy metals, those things never really leave your system. They just go and sit down there, and then by that they end up being toxic to your kidney. But in terms of, they're more toxic to your lungs, but it's more of a long-term effect that can affect your kidneys.
Interesting.
Some pills for those who are hypertensive, some of these pills that they give them, don't they have some effect? Because I have someone that has been hypertensive for a while. Perfect kidneys, I assume, because urine and passing physics is normal for the person, and there's so much pills that they get weak. What's possible connection can this, the tablets to control blood pressure be on the person?
Okay, so the all medications have side effects. And a lot of times when someone's blood pressure is not controlled, once you start to control it, the person's body has gotten used to receiving blood or working at that level. Once the person's blood pressure starts to come down, they start to feel weak. But the other possibility is that the person's blood pressure is coming too low. So that's another reason why patients that are on antihypertensive tend to feel weak. But other than that, all drugs have side effects. But antihypertensives, most of them, at least the ones that are on the market, are very safe. They've gone through several years of research. It takes about 10 to 15 years to get a drug from when it is made to all the research to say it is safe to use. So most of them are.
Now, can kidney issues be corrected?
Okay, so there are two types of kidney illnesses, and that's why our World Kidney Day is important, because we have what we call the acute kidney injury, and we have what we call the chronic kidney disease. With acute, it's usually reversible. So if someone has a kidney problem and we catch it early, we usually can reverse it. But usually if it lasts too long, then it causes CKD, or chronic damage to the kidney, in which the kidney is damaged and then the kidney function never returns. So it's really important that people check and then they know these things so we can pick up these illnesses early, and so we catch them when we can really do something about it. Once the kidney is damaged, it is damaged.
Wow. Yeah, so that's my next question would be, at what stage should you, or what age should you start checking to just make sure that your kidney is functioning properly?
So I think the risk usually gets higher from, and then there are different illnesses that cut across different age groups. So, but usually I think people should start getting more aware of their health. Usually once you get to 20, I think everybody should start becoming aware of their health. Usually since hypertension is the main culprit, usually that's around 40, but by 40 you should start knowing all your numbers. You should know your blood pressure, know your blood sugar, know all those things. But usually 40 for most, but 20, I think you start being aware. You should start knowing the things about your health, especially women.
From 20, by that time we don't have sense.
So there's a family right now, probably that a family member is trying to consider giving their kidney to a loved one, and family is worried about how would he function with one kidney. Could you give us an understanding, some kind of insight into a situation of somebody who has one kidney? Can they function effectively, and what are the consequences of offering your kidney to a friend who needs it?
Okay, so for patients who have permanent kidney damage, the treatment essentially would be you either do dialysis, if your kidney is severely damaged and literally gone, you either do dialysis permanently or you need to get a transplant. And what we advocate for is a transplant. Now, we don't even need for you to function, you don't even need up to half a kidney. So by the time someone is coming to the hospital and their kidneys are failing, it means both kidneys are totally gone. So you don't need up to even one kidney. So, and before we let you donate a kidney, we will check you. In fact, there was research that showed that people who donate kidneys live very long because it's the healthiest of the healthiest that we allow donate kidneys. So if you want to donate a kidney, there's a chance you might not be able to. If you had risk of you also having kidney disease, we won't let you donate a kidney. And then your heart has to be good, you have to be very healthy. So we will screen you. And so if you qualify, you probably have more than enough kidney function.
And since you also mentioned that women, especially during pregnancy, there's certain load on the kidney, do you advise women to give kidneys?
So I usually, if you've not had your kids, I won't advise you to. There was, if you don't mind, there's this popular story that was making the rounds when I was in training about a woman who had severe kidney damage, and then she came in she wanted to get pregnant. She came with her husband. And when she got there, we said, oh, your kidneys are really bad. You shouldn't get pregnant. And she was like, I want to do this. We gave them time. They agreed we were going to do it. And we told them, your kidney might get damaged. And the husband was like, I'm here for you. If anything happens, I will sort it out.
I'll give you my kidney.
And so she gets the baby. And then 6 months after, she developed kidneys. Her kidneys are fried. And she starts dialysis. And we called the husband, like, sir, you said you were going to sort this woman out. What's up? And the guy was like, so we gave him an idea of what it will cost. And then says, okay, give me 2 weeks. This is a popular story, actually, in nephrology circles. And 2 weeks, this guy shows up with the money, and he donated his kidney.
Okay.
But a year and a half after, guess what?
What?
Shows up pregnant again, and we're like, nah, you can't do this.
What? She got pregnant again?
Yes.
Is he okay?
Are they both okay?
They want to each other for life.
They're okay.
They're in love.
So
they want to die together.
So the thing is...
And leave the children for who?
Telling you.
The other thing is, if you... It just shows how well you can also get when you get a kidney transplant.
That you forget.
Yes, you can get so well. Yes. So kidney transplant really is good for patients with kidney disease.
Let's talk about the cost of dialysis. You know, is it getting cheaper? Because people are really... it's hard to pay for dialysis in this country.
It is.
Are there NGOs that support these treatments? Are there people out there to help people pay? Because there are lots of poor people who need help with this issue of dialysis because it's daily, I hear.
So essentially, for your viewers that might not know what dialysis is, we said the kidney removes waste, and when your kidneys are not working, you need to connect this person to a machine to take out the waste. And that's what dialysis is. We essentially move the person's blood to the machine, and usually, typically, a patient will need about 3 of it in a week. Wow. Each session lasts usually about 4 hours. A session of dialysis in Lagos will cost you between 30 to 50,000. Okay. You can understand that someone paying 150,000 or maybe 120,000 every week. It's not affordable, and that is just for the cleaning of blood. Remember, the kidney has other things it does. You need to come and take an injection for the blood production. You need to take some tablets for the bone issues. So usually, nobody really can afford this. In other countries, it's essentially free. Government just takes it off. In America, I think it's on Medicare. In UK, it's on the NHS. So if you're on NHS, you just go on dialysis. In Nigeria, the NHIS, I think government's done, and they've tried. The first 6 sessions, if you're on NHIS, is free. But usually, that's 2 weeks. So no one really can afford it. So that's why we focus on prevention.
And then most times when you hear people getting like kidney transplants, they're always traveling to India. Is it that we can't do it here? Are we doing a good job of it? Why are people, or is it just more expensive here?
Interestingly, there was, we do quite a bit of kidney transplants. Luth used to do, they're working on a transplant program in Luth. Last Luth does kidney transplants. Those are the general hospitals in Lagos. There are a few hospitals in the east there is one hospital in the east, there's a hospital in the north, general hospital. Then there are several private hospitals in Nigeria that do transplants. And we do quite a bit of transplants in Nigeria. So it's fairly common. We do a few renal transplants. So we can do it. And there's evidence to show that if you do transplant near where you live, you tend to do better.
After hospital.
So if you go all the way to India, because your doctor won't look after you from India. And usually the care is not as good when it's over the phone. You can't keep flying there. So when you are close to the people who got you on this journey, usually it's a lot better for you. So
what would you say should be our lifestyle targets? What kind of foods? What kind of, let's say, a proper day's meal? What should lifestyle predisposed to genetically or something?
So like Moria said, I think generally most things are safe, but I think we should cut down on fizzy drinks. You want to reduce salt for kidney disease. One of the things we reduce the amount of salt. I tell my patients is, if the food tastes very, very good, no, you need salt. So, and salt is not just normal, it's not just salt, but things like Maggi contain a lot of salt in it. So we should, yes, a lot of the seasonings we use contain a lot of salt. So it's important that you use those things in moderation. I know you have to eat out, but just be cautious of it.
See, this salt thing, the other day I was very hungry. Food no goes extremely. After you finish eating and the food has now finished, that's not salt.
Yeah, so it's an aftertaste.
Yeah, because you would have rushed, you're hungry. But after I now finish it, I'm like,
the amount of salt
in this food. But I'd finished it already. So sometimes it's really difficult. But when you eat really a lot of salt, there's something you can do to flush out the salt.
I think the solution for flushing out anything kidney-wise is just drink a lot of water. And you target to drink 3 liters a day, which is quite a bit of water. Most people struggle.
Get that measurement right. Which one is 3 liters?
So
it's just a guide even.
It's just a guide. It doesn't have to be. And then I remember telling someone to drink 3 liters a day, and he was so bent on getting the target that he wake up in the morning and drink the 3 liters. So we don't want it like that. You want to spread it through the day. So you want to drink water, 3 liters of water.
Oh, you try to finish the 3 liters.
Yeah, just to say miss the target. So it's not.
Do we have Nigerians who opt to be donors if they pass?
Yes.
Do we have such
people?
Because I know that
we need to
body parts. When they pass, like they make they sign it that if I die, the parts that are working, please give to people who need organs.
Organ donors. So we don't have a we don't have the legislation in place. We're working on that. So usually you need to have legislation for cadaveric donors. So when people die, you have that policy in which, because we don't have that, we don't want organ trafficking and all that to become an issue. So we are working on it. I think it's past second reading now. But it's one of those things that's been. But presently we don't do cadaver. Everything is live. We don't do anything cadaveric.
As head of Federal Medical Center in Paternity, just give us some some insights to when people come into the clinic, the kind of stories you hear of people, family, traditions, cultures, religion, that stops people from getting the adequate medical service they require. You know, people come with all sorts of stories. Maybe if we learn from you, we can know how to change and rethink, reorientate people's minds on the perceptions they have of getting proper healthcare.
I think one of the things is people think healthcare is expensive. The other one, they feel you go to a general hospital, you're going to die. And the main reason is because by the time patients come to us, we're at tertiary institutions. So what happens is the person has gone to so many, and when the smaller institutions can't manage, the patient is usually very sick by the time they get to us. But I can tell you for free that I think Federal Medical Center, not because I work there, but I think it's literally the best or one of the best hospitals in Lagos. I think it would be nice if you guys could cover us one of these days. We have an IVF center in the making. We have multiple, we have like the most recent dialysis machines. We have a robust renal unit. We're also developing a different type of dialysis that's going to be cheaper for our patients. We have everything. We have an ICU.
I have a friend who's been waiting for the fruit of the womb for years. And recently she had a child. She had two daughters. And I went to visit her. And of course, in my Nigerian thinking, so when did you travel? When did you come back? She's like, I did everything in Nigeria.
Wow.
IVF, the whole works, the children, everything start to finish was done here. She never even traveled abroad. And I was so really impressed. In fact, she was proud of the fact that everything was done in Nigeria. So just to buttress what you said, that we do have good medical service.
IVF, we have been doing IVF since.
But people do come here for medical tourism, but we pretend as if we don't do that. Lots of Nigerians come over here for medical tourism.
And I've used the Epitemeta.
What do you make of it?
Oh, fantastic. My son has dental, whatever. So his dentist is at the Paternity.
I also told
Nima as well.
I visited a lot. I have a relative working there.
And then structurally, infrastructurally, you're doing good as well.
We have 247 lights. Oh no, you should come. We have gone past that.
I want to get braces. I should just come to you people.
We would go.
So we have sold Federal Medical Center.
Yes. Are you one of those returnees, or have you born, raised, and went to school here in Nigeria, or?
Okay, I was hoping that question will come up. So I've done a bit of. So I was. I did secondary school at King's College, and then I schooled in Ghana, and then I came back to Nigeria for residency, and then I've done some training abroad, and that also lets me know that it also lets us know that the reason why our doctors can move out easily is because our training is that good and our doctors are that good. And because when I got there and I'm like, it's the same thing. Just that they have more infrastructure, they can order more tests, they're literally free, but it's the same treatment you get.
So you're Africa trained. We're proud of you. We just
want to move it from Nigeria to Africa trained.
So we're proud of that. But I'm happy that we have good doctors. We always say it. The reason why you are taking them is because they are good. If they didn't have a foundation here, you won't take them.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Dr. Dan.
Dan Laddy. I like Dan Laddy. You know, we're trying to protect.
Dan Laddy.
I mean, born on Sunday.
The N is silent, so it's Madu.
Madu, yes.
Are you married? Doctor, are you married?
Yes, I am.
How many kids you have?
None yet.
Oh, but she's like, you can just, you look like a very cute doctor, you know, that would...
She wanted to matchmake you
with somebody. Thank God you're married.
Can you feel the middle belt energy around you?
Is it middle belt?
Oh, yes.
How are you feeling like? See you tomorrow. Bye for now.